Hey everyone, it's DeShannon. Are you ready to live your life beyond good? I thought so. I thought so. Welcome. Welcome. Oh, hey Katrina. Oh gosh. Hug your mom super tight for me. I know she's having a hard time right now. And to the Prater family, God, we're praying for your loss. We just love you guys. But I am super excited about tonight's show. Okay. Oh, hey, Vanessa. Oh, that's baby cuz doing big things in South Carolina. But tonight's show, go ahead, share it. Go ahead and share it because y'all know, I've talked to my cousins and we talked about growing up in church. I mean, we're on show number 4. That one's been like a huge, huge, huge success. Oh, that's my nephew, Derice. Hey, Cam. And, that's been a huge success. But tonight, guys, see, a lot of you don't know that I have siblings. I've lived some of everywhere. You might have heard me talk about them. But I have one brother, one sister. Can y'all guess who the baby is? I'll give you a hint. It's me. It's me. So listen, I'm going to be talking to my siblings and we're going to mix a little bit of my career stuff with my inspirational stuff. Because yes, we grew up in the same household. We grew up in church. The first time anyone saw us was at church. That's our first appearance outside was at church, all 3 of us. But did you know we are all C-level employees and have held a C-level position at some point in our career or currently in our career? Oh, there's our niece, Jess. Hey, Jessica. So she's a little bit biased. She's calling us the best trio. And if you guys ever see her, I mean, she's like my twin. I love her so much. Okay, but we are all C-level employees. I had somebody ask me what that meant the other day, and we're all executives in our respective fields. So Hoyt, who, man, I don't even know, he'll tell you a little bit about when his first C-level job is, but he functions in the role of a chief executive officer. And Sharoñ functions in the role of chief financial officer. And I bounce between CEO and COO, which is Chief Operations Officer. But I like the weeds. I like that. So I really like that COO role. And so we are all C-level siblings. Okay. Now, with a house full of leaders, how was that growing up? How did our parents raise 3 C-level employees? How do we get along now? What are our strengths and weaknesses? All of this stuff, we're going to help you guys to see what that's like, what our background is, and how that helps us navigate corporate America. And then we're going to have some fun along the way. Go ahead and share this. I'm going to give you just one more minute to share this because, I do a lot of inspiration stuff that can get heavy. And I do a lot of career stuff that people think, well, maybe I'm not wanting, I don't really know if this fits, if I need a coach. This is going to be a mix of both. We're going to give you some really good career tips on leadership. And we're also going to do all we know is to inspire you, do some inspirational stuff. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm just going to give it 30 more seconds, let you know what's coming up. Okay, next week. Next week is supposed to be, maybe it's supposed to be inspiration. Maybe it's supposed to be career, but I've got a guest. I've got a guest, and this is a young man that he actually goes to my church. And he also posts some really thought-provoking things on there. And man, he said yes. So I'm going to get him on next week. So this is going to be inspirational, motivational, thought-provoking. We might talk about some world events. We're just going to have a real, raw, authentic conversation. A lot of times people are looking for just somebody that's keeping it real. And I don't even know if I'm keeping it real a lot. I just know that I can only be who I am. So go ahead. share this video, share this video. This is going to be one that you're going to want to save. Thank you guys for having a watch party. Oh my gosh. Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. Great. Mark is my brother's friend, but I've jumped in there and became really good friends. Me and Lil David was in his wife's video. They let us be in a video. Can y'all believe that? So, hey, Mark. But guys, listen. This is going to be a good one. I love watch parties. So go ahead if you want to do a watch party, but I can't see your comments. So you'll just share it to your page. That way I can see your comments and we can pop them up on the screen or whatever we need to do. My producer's in the background. She's wanting your comments. So let me know where you're watching from or say hello to us so that we can speak to you, to all our friends. So listen, I've got a very quick little video, and then I'm going to come back and introduce you to my sibling. So, oh, hey, Cindy, hey. Okay, Leslie, take it away. I just had to do that, guys. I mean, when you only have one brother, one sister, you're very close to both of them. I mean, I'm just like sandwiched in the middle of both of them, even though I'm the youngest. And my brother still introduces me as his baby sister. It's like, really? I'm about 50 years old, but I love it anyway. Hey, Minister Eva. But I want to introduce you to the oldest, my sister, Sharon. Now, let me tell you a little bit about her. Okay, she's going to tell you her professional stuff, but Sharon has a heart of gold. She will give you anything. Do y'all know she still buys me stuff? She'll still cash out me every now and then just because. And if I've got a speaking engagement, she don't care where it is, She's going to be that person that's right beside me, going with me. She is literally will be cheering, and I can always look out and see her face. I love her so much. Can y'all just please welcome my big sis, Sharon.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, Sharon. So now I told them about all the warm and fuzzy stuff. So tell them what you do professionally.
Okay, well, professionally, I work as a chief financial officer for a perinatologist practice. It's the largest in the state of Georgia. I'm over all of the accounting and HR for the company. I kind of manage all of the administrative functions at the top level. I have a team of about 6 people working with me, and that's what I do professionally.
Okay, and what led you up to that point?
Well, my first real job, I like to say, was as an office manager. It was in Hendersonville, North Carolina. I worked for the Spearmans, and I was always a reluctant accountant. I felt like, my interest lied more in HR. But as my career progressed, I worked for either large departments in Fortune 500 companies or for small companies. So I always had those roles under my wing. So I just kind of fell into accounting sort of by accident because it wasn't really my first choice, but it's what I've always done. So it's kind of led me to where I am now as a CFO.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So that's the oldest. So she's the money person. I mean, HR too, because I've used her in both capacities. But I want to introduce you to my oldest brother. He's my only brother. But this guy, okay, y'all hear me bragging about, yeah, he's a minister and he's a great pastor and he's a great leader. But listen, this guy started playing the piano when he was like 4 or 5 years old. He can play any instrument. He be telling his bass player what note, his drummer. He is just prolific. I mean, he tour jump, he key back in college. I mean, he can eat a Hammond B3 completely up. I mean, man, he is like that guy, but also he's a protector. He loves his little sister. He's always, he gives me great advice when I'm moving around, whether it's spiritually or professionally. He's got a heart of gold and a heart for people. Can y'all help me welcome my big brother, Hoyt?
Hello, hello, hello.
And Hoyt, tell them a little bit about you professionally, where you came from. I can remember how soon you was a CEO. It was early in your career, but tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, just a little bit about me professionally. Basically out of high school, I went to Gardner Webb University. Hello to all my Gardner Webb family and alums. Majored in business administration and minored in sociology, and graduated in 1993. And when I returned to my hometown of Hendersonville, North Carolina, I had an opportunity to work for an organization that they were just implementing and starting in my community, Boys and Girls Clubs. And so as a business major, I wasn't really sure about working with youth. I was thinking about banking and other areas, but God led me to that organization. And so the first 5 years, from 93 to 98, I was the club director, one of the two employees there. But I was able to get my first president CEO position in 1998, as I was the founding executive director, the founding CEO for Boys and Girls Clubs of the Sand Hills and Southern Pines, North Carolina. So shout out to all my Southern Pines, Pinehurst people. And so I was probably around 27 years old. And at that time, I was probably one of the youngest CEOs, executive directors for Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And over the last 20 years, I've been the CEO president for four nonprofit organizations: Boys and Girls Clubs, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Habitat for Humanity, the Simpsonville Chamber of Commerce, Children's Shelter, which is a Hope Center now in Spartanburg. And so over the years, that's a little bit about what I've done.
Okay, now y'all know that I like to laugh. I'm going to say it like I'm going to say it. But, people expect one of us. I'm already tickled because I just like to laugh. When I get around my brother and sister, it gets funny. Somebody should be doing bad. Somebody should be shooting bad, one of us. So how was it growing up, or what did you think our parents did to actually raise three executive leaders? So Sharoñ, I'm going to start with you. What is something that you think that got us to where we are?
I think there's a few things. One, just by being the oldest, I was put in charge a lot. So it was up to me to make sure everyone folded clothes and whatever it is we needed to do. And we did it before Mama got home from work every day. And then as far as our spiritual upbringing, I think, our parents were in a gospel singing group. So we grew up around a lot of music. And in church, of course, we had to sing. We sang as a trio. We sang in the junior choirs, of course. And then my brother, of course, played for our parents' singing group. But aside from that, we had very strong biblical training by my mother and her very best friend, Mrs. Clara Underwood, Reverend Clara Underwood. I think that gave us a very strong spiritual foundation. And then we were always whether we were shy or not, they put us in front of the church. We had to do our Easter speeches and our Christmas speeches, and we had to sing. So it just, we would sit and listen to them rehearse, and we'd take that into the church with us, singing and standing and speaking. So I think, they gave us a lot of opportunities to be in the front.
Oh my God, Mark brought up Kings and Queens of Harmony. How in the world do you remember that, Mark? Oh my goodness. So Hoyt, what do you think was one of the founding things that made you become a leader? What's some of the earliest memories of that?
I think leadership was implemented early. Certainly God had a plan for my life. And when I think about leadership, I think about Jeremiah 29:11, when he said, "For I know I have a plan for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, to not to harm you, but to give you hope in the future." And as DeShannon mentioned, I started playing the piano at 4 and 5 years old. Never had any lessons. Just started playing.
We had lessons.
Well, let me go back. I had 3 lessons. You had lessons. I had 3 lessons, because when I went to the lessons, I was memorizing what she was teaching, and so she decided that there was no longer for me to continue to have lessons. So you continued on, but I didn't. So I did have 3 lessons. Let me go back and correct myself. But I started playing music at 5 years old, the piano, and at 6, I started playing for my grandfather's, Reverend Pastor Ben Bynum church in Fort Payne, Alabama, and I was playing for the junior choir at 6. And then once my dad became the pastor of Shiloh Baptist Church in Center, Alabama, I think I was age 10 or so, or 8, something like that. I was playing the piano on a regular basis there. And then really at 12 years old, I was really kind of directing choirs and directing the junior choir and playing music. So, and that have lasted up until this day. So I think for me, leadership, being in front of people, leading adults, teaching choirs, teaching parts. So I think from a leadership perspective, I was able to gather that leadership from an early age.
Well, I think for me, Mama never told me to be quiet. I wasn't the kid that you just not, seen and not heard, because I was talking early. So she fostered that. She let me ask questions. She let me choose my own candy out the store. She allowed me to think for myself as a young age. So I never felt like I wasn't important, or I couldn't say what I needed to say, which I think makes me, somebody might call it outspoken now, but she actually allowed me to ask all of those inquisitive questions that most kids get shut down for. And I think that kind of helped me never to be shy. I was always the youngest. So, I was asked to go ask for the candy, or can we get another bowl of cereal or some ice cream or something. They put the baby up to that. And I think just being able to just be who I was organically helped me in that. So one of the questions someone wanted me to ask was, how are we all leaders, and how do we get along? And so I was kind of like, what do you mean? Because I'm not going to fall out with my brother and sister. I only have one. So how do we get along? We're going to start with Sharon.
I think we get along great. Now we've been known to fall out on a chat before, but, we quickly recover ourselves. I think we're like most siblings, but, we're close in age. So Mom raised us together, and she said that she had us, 2 years apart because she wanted to raise her children together. So I think, being close in age helped us remain close throughout the years. We've had similar experiences in life, and I think we have a lot in common with each other, even though we are 3 leaders, 3 strong personalities. We just work it out. We give each other a chance to speak and be heard and give our opinion and go from there.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you a leadership question, and then raise how we were, knowing our story from beginning to end. They know my story more than I know theirs because I'm the youngest. But what was the driving force for you to become successful?
Well, I believe that when you look at our parents, both our parents are college educated. They told us that we can do all things through Christ that strengthen us. And so we had the belief that we wanted to be successful. We didn't know exactly how that was going to turn out. But for myself, again, I had an opportunity to go to college and on a football scholarship and play football. And so that led me to continue my education and graduate and move from there. And then I was fortunate to be able to work for some great organizations. But but I just had a desire that I wanted to be successful. I knew that with my mother and father, once they eventually divorced, and you have a mother raising three children, it was important that I was going to do my best to be successful so I can support and help with the family as much as I can. As the male of the family, you kind of silently take on that responsibility to say, listen, I need to work hard to do my part because I want to make sure that I can contribute to my mom's success and make sure that she doesn't have to want for anything. And so internally, I worked hard and applied myself, and we made sure that we took care of our mother until the very end.
Hey, we got some people coming on. Hey, Stanley. Hey, Pam from Fort Payne. Hey, Nisha. But Sharoñ, what did you have a driving force? What was the internal thing that said, I've got to make it?
Well, I think one of the greatest things is our mom instilled a lot of confidence in us. And so even when things didn't seem to be as great as we thought they should have been, there was something inside that always pushed us. And she was the biggest cheerleader of the three of us that you could ever imagine, no matter what was going on in our lives. She was cheering us on every step of the way, and she was very proud of us, no matter what. So I think inside, I always wanted to make her very proud of me. And I know education was big for her. For both of our parents, but especially for her. So, strive to do the best I could while I was getting my education. And I just always wanted to make her proud of us. And I felt like we did.
Well, for me, I didn't even know really if I was successful. It was just what we did. It wasn't an option whether you was going to college or not. That wasn't a choice you made. You were going. It wasn't an option whether you were going to work or not. You worked. And then you worked and did the best you could. So I didn't realize at the time that I was doing something that may have been different. But we had a question pop up. Yes. What does success look like for each of us? And that's something that I was alluding to, like when I got my first big job, or I became a CEO the first time, and I got a real check. I was emailing y'all my raises, and you didn't really feel like I'm a success. You just felt like that was what you were supposed to do. So the question is, what does success look like for us? So Sharoñ, we're going to start with you. What is success to you?
For me, I think some of it is monetary. I felt like, I was able to help support my mother in her last years of life, take care of her needs. Anything she asked for, we made sure she got. She liked to brag about what got sent to her from Atlanta. Take care of help my son support his daughter when he was raising her alone. That was important to me. Being able to contribute to my own household, buy the things that we want and need, travel, tithe. Those are, I think, the monetary part felt successful to me because to me, money bought convenience and peace of mind. So when at the moment that I felt that I could do all the things that I felt like I needed to take care of monetarily, I felt like I was becoming successful, or I had made it to be successful.
And what about you, Hoyt? What does success look like to you?
Well, success for me is multiple layers because professionally, I've always been bivocational. Professionally, as a CEO in nonprofit organizations, and a lot of those organizations that I was able to become the CEO, I was the first African American to run those organizations. But also the other side of success is that I've always been in church and ministry. So wherever I went, wherever I moved to, I was always a minister of music at a church. So I was using my gifts and giving God praise and glory. Also, I was also trying to be a CEO of an organization. And a lot of time that can really run you thin. But the fact that that I was able to use my gifts and for the glory of God, and that although I was in a CEO position, it didn't compromise how God was using me within the community, but within the church as well. And so even as I graduated college, I was able to start a community choir, a 60, 70 voice choir for 8 years. And all while I was still doing other work as well. So just using my gifts and making sure that I made God hopefully to please him in all that I did with my gifts and talents and maximize everything that God has given me.
It's such a hard one for me because even though I've had great positions and I do a lot of things, I'm just like Sharon has a lot of extra jobs. Hoyt does a lot of things. I do a lot of things. I don't know if I've actually defined success for myself because I've made a lot of money. I've done what I wanted to do. I bought some stuff because I will spend what I make because I think and a lot of it comes from not being able to buy what I needed to buy. They're laughing, but now I'm gonna look good. No matter what. So I think for me, I haven't reached that part yet because I want to be where I never have to look at my bank account to see if I got enough. I think that's when I'll determine if I'm successful, but when I can actually sleep at night and be okay with what's going on around me. So I'm still trying to search for that. I haven't really defined that, which is why I do so many things, I think. Another question came in, at what qualities do differ from C-level employees that maybe that entry-level or mid-level managers may not possess yet or not know that they possess? And it could have been something that you obtained growing up or learned along your journey, but give us some qualities that people look for in executives, because we're talking about, Hoyt was talking about nonprofits and big organizations. We're talking about not small ones. We're talking about multi-million-dollar organizations. Sharon is, oh my God, she's a CFO, so she's dealing with multi-million-dollar. I'm operations, but I've also been a CEO, so I've dealt with that. What are some qualities that you think that we've obtained or need to obtain to have that C-level qualities or mindset? Sharon?
I think one of the things that one of the qualities is just not being afraid. You can't operate at the top level with any fear. And then secondly, being able to have the hard conversations with employees or owners or, shareholders. But in that same token, having a certain amount of finesse in the way you operate with certain people, because it can go bad for you at any moment. So just being able to stop and think before you speak to make sure you're getting your point across, but making sure that it's not caustic, that you're not alienating anyone, but that you're, competent at all times. And usually competency is going to override everything.
Okay. What about you, Hoyt?
Listen, I would say that you have to work your plan. I didn't start off as a CEO right out of college. I was the club director for several years before I was given that opportunity. But one thing that I did do was that I wanted to market myself for the next level. For example, when Boys and Girls Clubs had conferences, well, we would go to those conferences, and a lot of the employees, like myself, we had the T-shirts on and the jeans, but I didn't. I dressed like the CEO of the organization. If he had a suit on, I had a suit as well. And so everybody else had blue jeans on and T-shirts, but I dressed like everyone. I dressed like the CEOs because I knew that if I had a chance to present myself or I had a chance to meet some of the top executives, I wanted to leave an impression on them, because at that time, Boys and Girls Club was really growing. It was opening up a lot of organizations. And I wanted somebody to say, okay, listen, this organization is getting ready to open. Who can we go run that organization? And my impression, I didn't want my last impression to be jeans, tennis shoes, and T-shirts. I wanted to be a suit and a pressed shirt and a tie. And although they told me that Hoyt, you didn't have to wear a suit. Well, if I could wear a suit, I was going to wear a suit. And so I used to market myself as a CEO, although I wasn't in a position. So I would say, work the plan that you have and begin to think big. Just because you're not at the level that you're at right now, what you have to do is continue to work and market yourself and put yourself in position, because when God has a plan for you, that plan is going to come to pass, but you have to do your part and begin to think strategically with a big mind, with a big ideal, and say, listen, I'm going to be the next CEO. And it may take a while, it may be tomorrow, but you have to market yourself and position yourself for success.
Well, for me, I think Sharon hit on it about fear. When I walk into a room, people think I'm somebody because I feel like I can do it. I don't think there's anything I can't do. If somebody can do it, I think I can do it too. I'm not afraid to speak up when most people are quiet. I'm not afraid to ask questions, and I'm not afraid to literally apply for jobs that I'm not really qualified for. Sometimes people are looking for somebody that's trainable, that's willing. And so I remember when I first applied for the job, I've never done a lot of the things that they were requiring me to do, but I was confident in the fact that I could learn it. So I think being approachable, coachable, teachable, somebody that can tell you something that you don't know. And a lot of times you have to lean on other people. There were plenty of times I would send Sharon an email about HR stuff, or put her on three-way, or send Hoyt, like, look at this letter I'm trying to get out, and let them help me to get to where they thought I should be. But I had to change the way I thought about myself. I couldn't believe what people thought about me because it was limited thinking. So I began to change my mindset, and I actually wrote a book called Renewing Your Mind, because I thought it was so important. When people say, how did you do it? Literally, I changed the way I thought about myself and my abilities. And there's nothing I don't think I can do. So I can land in some crazy places where my sister says, nobody but you this could happen to. But I just believe it. I just believe it. And so those are some of the qualities that I think that you need to have along with your faith. But someone asked the question is, how do we instill C qualities in our kids? Now, my children, they're not me. And I don't want them to be either. I'm allowing them to be who they are. I've got two real artsy kids. My oldest can create anything. If you follow her pages, I mean, she can create anything. And my youngest, even though she's probably the most like me, she loves art. So I'm fostering their gifts. Now, one thing, Sharon and Hoyt might have a different view when they talk about their kids, but one thing that Mom did is, they laid hands on us early. They had people that would lay hands on us and kind of say, hey, this is the direction they're going to be in. And she fostered us wherever we were gifted at. She didn't try to make us fit what she wanted us to be. And that, I think, has allowed us to be who we are, to meet our potential. So my children, I'm trying to do the exact same way. Now, clearly, as a mother, you want them to do one thing or the other, but I'm letting them be who they are so that they won't resent the fact that I forced them to be something that they didn't want to be. So Sharon, how was it with Cam and what he's doing, and what did you try to instill in him? Because you only got that one.
I think raising Cam, I allowed him to make mistakes. He's a very smart young man, got a lot of interests, but I never did get in his way. Let him learn the way he learns, do the things he likes to do. I gave him plenty of freedom. Of course, not too much, but I think just allowed him to develop his own personality without being overbearing. I think that was one of the best things I did for him, because he's definitely his own person. Anybody who follows his page knows that he's just going to do and say whatever it is he wants to do. We get a lot of laughs about it, but yeah, he's great, and I think, he's in a career that he likes right now. Still hoping that he'll make it down to Atlanta someday, but yeah, just allowed him to develop his own personality and his own thoughts without being overbearing. I think that made him a natural leader. And being an only child, he was sort of a Pied Piper. I mean, we always had a car full of kids following Cam, and kids coming over to spend the night and that sort of thing. So I think he became a leader by default, just by being an only child.
Okay, what about Caleb, Naomi, Jess? What you got?
Well, listen, it was important that that my kids see Dad wake up and see Mom wake up every morning, professionally dressed, with a briefcase, and go to work. When I left out, dressed up, it was important for them to see that. And of course, with their mom, she's very proud of her because she was able to go back and finish her degree a couple of years ago at USC Upstate, and now she's a director of one of the premier child development centers in Spartanburg. And so with my kids, Jessica has a master's degree, a family in Florida. My son is getting ready to graduate next year. He's a senior at North Greenville University, and my daughter is getting ready to attend Winthrop University in August. And so, just try to model, not trying to tell them what to be, what major to study in or anything like that. They need to do their own thing and develop their own plan. But but prayerfully, that what we have modeled growing up and the faith that we have displayed and our foundation and our trust in God and our family structure, that they not only will they be successful and secularly, but also from a spiritual perspective as well, that they will follow what God has for them as well. So all of that can be merged together to be a whole person. And so that's what our prayer is, that our kids are whole, that our families are whole.
Now, don't get it wrong. Now, we about put hands on all of them at some point. Because my children try me every single day. But you have to let them be who they are. And I just never wanted to force them. I remember once when Keena changed her major, her senior year in college. Lord, I mean, but she wanted to do what she wanted to do. And now you see it. At the time, you can't see it. So I do think allowing your children to be who they are naturally, organically, without trying to force your dreams and hopes on them will allow them to be something. Maybe they're not going to be a C-level leader, but they're going to be a good person. They're going to love what they do, and they're going to, have a lot of friends and family around them. And so it's I've got a couple more leadership questions, and that's faith related, and then we're going to just take a small break and come back and do something fun. So you guys know that we all grew up in church, and both our parents were ministers, and so that's the foundation. How important, Sharon, was it to grow up not only just in church, because we're not talking necessarily the building, but grow up with the foundation? What's some of your earliest memories of leadership as a kid that, might still carry over to today?
I remember the minute I accepted God into my life, when I accepted Christ into my heart. I was around 11 years old, and it was at one of the revivals at First Baptist Church. And I think at that moment, I realized the shift that was inside of me. And it made me understand more all of the prophecies that had been prayed over me as a child. They didn't really click into my young mind until that moment. And I remember, as I was going to be baptized, I think Bully came along with me. I'm not sure if you got baptized at the same time as us, but I just remember that was a shift in my mindset about being bold in Christ. I think it's led to where we are today as far as leadership. And it just kind of solidified in my mind everything that we'd heard as children, because, you know, you listen with a child's mind, but there's that moment where you shift from a child's way of thinking to a young adult to an adult. And I think that was the foundation for me to segue into adulthood and leadership.
Okay, Hoyt, what about yourself?
I was actually reading a question from Mark, so restate the question to me, DeShannon. I was actually reading a question, and I was getting ready to answer that, but
Oh no, go ahead and answer Mark's question then. That's fine.
Well, I see Mark Grayhouse, my friend Mark. He said, "How do you successfully balance family life and the demands associated with C-level leadership?" Listen, that's a tough one because I didn't learn until later on. Because with myself, and not to be bragging or anything like that, I have multiple gifts. I can do multiple things, and so trying to utilize the gifts that God has given you. I was a CEO of an organization. I was a minister of music of a church. I was trying to coach my son's basketball team, and then even during that time, I was working as the director of the USC Upstate Gospel Choir. So I was directing, college students, and I was doing all of that at one time. And I realized that although those are good things, but I did realize that my first ministry was home, and I was thinking to myself that, what would my kids say that because I've been gone all day, and by the time I get home from rehearsals, it's 10:30 at night, my kids are in the bed, so they didn't see me all day. And one of the things is that early on in ministry, a lot of the ministers, the pastors, didn't really preach balance, because when you're the minister of music, they want you to play every Sunday. They want you to go to revivals. They didn't give you time off to say, hey, listen, just take a Sunday off. We'll just get by with it. But you spend time with your family. No, you was faithful to your position. And so oftentimes that in ministry, you do without the thought of your family and balance. And so I didn't learn that until later on, that I had to, actually as our pastor, that I have to say, listen, it's okay if you miss a Sunday or two, we're going to be fine. But I want you to make sure that your family is important. Although you have jobs, responsibility, you're the president of an organization, you're the minister of music and what have you, but don't run yourself so thin and say, well, listen, I'm doing everything that God has called me to do. But yes, he also called you to be a good father and a husband, and that's your first ministry. And I didn't learn that until later on in life. And so now I choose not to have so many things that's going to take me away from my family.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off that question because I almost learned that lesson too late. I mean, I was a CEO. I was using my sister to set up my HR department. She was like, oh my gosh, you're doing so much. And I remember taking my kids on vacation, supposedly, and I put my youngest, who was about 4 years old, on a ride at a theme park. But as soon as she got on that ride, I was checking my phone. I had some contracts I needed to get to the hospital. I was, just making sure I hadn't missed anything. And that ride had ended, and that baby was looking for her mama. Oh, that thing about tore me to pieces. I was an excellent CEO, but I was failing as a mother. And so at that moment, then I had to step back and say, I've got to find this line. Yes, my career was taking off. Yes, I was making enough money for us to do the things we wanted to do. But as a mom, I knew, when that baby was looking for me, because the older kids were together, and I was like, oh no, I had to step back, which has made me shift my career a little bit. Since then, I felt like at the time I had to be the best CEO because I was the only Black female CEO. This company was 33 years old. I was opening up offices. I had 100 employees. I had 7 locations. I was doing all of this contract work. But then I realized my oldest daughter was watching my youngest. And and she was trying to go to college and study. And so I didn't learn that until later. But then once I got it, I learned that no was an anointed word. Mm-hmm. No will keep you from some mess. No will keep you from being overextended. No will keep you from being tired. No is God's way of keeping you out of some trouble, because you can only see to the corner and he can see around it. So I learned the power of no, and I learned to celebrate when God told me no. So as my life started pivoting and I started getting older, I had to understand, what good was I if I wasn't good to my children? And I was good to 100 people who didn't care anything about me, really, but I was horrible at home. And that's where I learned that dishes in the sink just might be all right. Because if they would rather have a happy mama than somebody just upset and screaming and hollering and deadlines all the time. So I had to learn that. And so that was a hard lesson for me as a mom, a wife, a mom of 3 generations of children. I don't know if you guys know, but there's 16 years between my oldest and my youngest. And there's 7 years between my first one and my second one. So I've got 3 generations of children. And as I tried to become what I thought I should be, I was neglecting the people that loved me and needed me the most. So it was tough for me for a while, but I got it now. If I can't do it, or if I don't want to do it, I'm going to tell you no. And you just going to have to be all right with it. So that's one of the things that I want to do. But now, okay, we only got a few minutes left, and I was going to just cut to a video, but we're going to do that at the end. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your questions. But my producer is in the back, and she's going to pop up some questions, some fun stuff, and we're going to see how we answer them. So thank you guys for your questions, and keep asking them. We might have some time, just to get those in. So whenever she's ready, we'll be ready for those questions and see how we answer them. So I do want to thank my sister and brother for agreeing. I didn't really give them a choice.
I'm here under duress.
Because Sharon isn't the one that necessarily just jumps out in front. But so I just told them what day we were doing it and just show up. So I think we're ready. Oh, there's a question from my nephew. Okay. Who's the funniest? Who? Well, I think Hoyt thinks he's the funniest, but I think Sharon's the funniest, because as soon as she don't even have to answer the phone and I'm already laughing. But who do y'all think the funniest?
I think for me, it's got to be Bully is the funniest for me. And I think, like you said, because he thinks he's funny, that makes him funnier.
People don't know the word bully, so this is going to be the first time that they have heard bully, but that's okay.
Sorry, y'all.
That's Booley. That's been my name since little. So listen, I've been a bully. I'm always going to be a bully. What is a bully? I don't know what a bully is, but I'm a bully.
Okay, so Hoyt, who do you think is the funniest? You can just say yourself.
No, DeShannon is the funniest, because normally what's so funny that she just says what she want to say. And although she may not think she's funny, it's funny to everyone else. And so we can just bust out laughing, and she's kind of slightly serious, but because she's just saying what she want to say about anything, it's always going to be funny.
Well, I like to laugh, so I don't care who making me laugh. I mean, the tears is what I always have. So I think we got another question waiting for it to pop up. Oh, this is easy. Sharon's the smartest, I think. What you say, Hoyt?
Yeah, listen, Sharon is the oldest. Listen, my 2 sisters are both super smart. I never could measure up to them in high school. I never had the grades that they had, never had the scores that they had. I don't even know how I made it, but listen, those 2 are super smart, but God is good.
Well, listen, somebody said, who's the most frugal? Well, y'all know it ain't me, so I'm just going to exclude myself out there. It's got to be Hoyt. He ain't spending no money. So, you know.
Oh no.
I mean, well, that's not true. I mean, I can spend, but I'm not going to spend everything that I have. I mean, now DeShannon, she's going to spend, she's going to do her thing. But like I said, I mean, I have my own family and my own issues. So listen, we're not, everybody got their own way of doing things. And so I just kind of do my own thing.
What was that question? What was the question, Leslie, that you had up there? Oh, gotta be me. Who got the most whoopings? It's had to be me. What y'all think?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they lined us up all at one
Yeah,
time.
I mean, for some reason that when one got in trouble, I guess we were all contributed to the trouble, so we all got whooped together. So, it's probably all equal out. I mean, I'm not sure.
Somebody pushed me up to the front. I had to go first while the arm was still fresh.
But listen, when it come to the weapons, I was a track star. I was a runner, and I used to run, and I made, but I try to be funny, because if I can get mom to laugh, if I can get her to laugh within the midst of those whoopings, she'll say, "Go on, boy, just go on." And that helps sometimes, only about 10% of the time, but I tried to do my best.
Okay, who was the favorite?
Hoyt.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Hoyt. Yeah.
Well, I was the only boy, I guess, and so just naturally.
I think Mama was very protective of you.
Dad's favorite's got to be Hoyt too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you got to pick one.
You got to pick one, so let's just pick one.
Okay. What's the next question? The most sensitive. It's not me.
Sharon.
Me, I guess.
Sharon was always kind of quiet, kind of sensitive. I mean, growing up, Sharon wasn't a fighter. DeShannon, listen, pound for pound, pound for pound, DeShannon was a champion. I mean, she took on big and small, and she fought all the time, but she was a champion when it come to that. And Sharon, she cried. She cried a lot, and we prayed a lot.
Those girls were always.
But before we could pray for DeShannon, she's already fighting. So I mean, but Shannon was pound for pound one of the greatest of all times.
Okay, I'm laughing because Stanley over here talking about and I had to fight because I was getting picked on, and so Stanley and my cousin George, who's deceased now, took me to Jackson Park and said, "Poo-poo, you got to learn how to fight." And so, I mean, they were just, and I just learned to fight. But yeah, I fought about everybody, and still might fight today. You act up.
You still got a little Peter in you. We got to pray that Peter is compressed.
Yeah.
Still got a little Peter. She still may cut that ear off.
Bless the Lord.
Yes, bless her. I'll make sure I pray before this is over.
The most protective, I think Sharon is. She's protective of both of us. I think so. Just being the oldest, she's the most protective. Somebody had a question. It was Mark. Who's the most outspoken?
DeShannon.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's got to be DeShannon.
DeShannon sometimes she doesn't have a filter.
No filter.
We pray for a filter, but she's never had a filter. And because of that, yes.
Oh.
God. No, well, I mean, I don't know. I think I just say whatever most people are thinking. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't come out right. But yeah, but I don't know. Any more questions, Leslie? Oh, Oh, I think we on a group chat. I don't think it's one person we call. We kind of want to know big news together.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't y'all say that? Like if we got big
Yes.
news.
Yeah. I mean, we chat every other day about something, or we may send a post or something, but big news, we try to communicate that because especially if it's regarding family issues or something like that, we want to deal with that as a family as quickly as possible and support each other as best that we can. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Most likely to go to jail.
Whoa.
Good Lord. Shannon.
Oh.
For talking. Because when they tell her to be quiet, she's still going to continue to talk, and they're going to say, well, listen, we're just going to end this and just take you on down. So I think it's DeShannon.
Yeah, I'm going to go with DeShannon on that one.
Well, yeah. Well, that might be true. I'll take that one. Okay. What else we got, Leslie? Y'all got any questions? Just type them in. I'm having a blast because I love my brother and sister so much, and I love to laugh. So I mean, it's great.
One of the things I would say that having two sisters is a blessing, but it's also tough because growing up as a minister of music, I had a choir, and DeShannon and Sharon was two of my sopranos in my section. And listen, when you're trying to teach a song and you're trying to get everybody focused, but then you have your sisters who are not doing what you ask them to do. They're talking. And see, when they get mad or if one get mad, they're going to group up together. They're always going to come together and they're going to direct it towards me. So I'm trying to, I got 70 voice choirs. I'm 20 years old. I got older people, young, whatever. But then I have my two sisters that's giving me the most trouble that I'm having to stop music, stop the rehearsal, and get on them in front of everybody. But then they will team together. So listen, it's a blessing to have two sisters, but it's also, I guess it's a curse as well. But they've been a blessing though. I mean, because we sung all our life and they've, listen, I mean, as faithful as you ever want people to be, they travel with me over the years faithfully. And I've, of course, when you have two good sopranos, you need those sopranos wherever you go. And they've been a blessing and supported me over the years. So I've been blessed to have two wonderful sisters.
Aww.
I mean,
they were something else though.
A lot of people, I'm gonna get to that question in just a second, Leslie. A lot of people, they don't know we've been singing our whole lives. And so, no, I'm not going to ask us to sing nothing. I mean, I'm not going to do that. But, I think it was because sometimes you had to. So some people always seem surprised. They're like, DeShannon, you can sing? And, you're like, yeah. So maybe what's something that, Sharon, people don't know about you?
Something people don't know
about us. Maybe it could be about us that we might do together or like to do, but a lot of people are very surprised that I don't know why that we have sung together our entire whole lives.
I don't know. I mean, we all like ice cream.
Yeah.
You go to any of our house, you're gonna get your ice cream sandwich. I don't know. I'm not sure I understand the question. So
and see why DeShannon is laughing because in her mind, she's thinking of stuff that we're probably not going to say live. And so, but I don't know. But listen, I mean, I really don't know. I mean, we've, just had just a journey of just, like I said, singing. We've always sung. I played mom led, and then my two sisters, Sharon was the lead singer for the most part. And we traveled and sung. And listen, I mean, we sung, church wasn't over at 1:00 like it is now.
No.
Church continued on that afternoon and that night. And listen, we've been a part of that, but we've been thankful and blessed because through our faith and through trusting God, God have used us in a mighty, mighty way and over the years, and hopefully been a blessing to a lot of people. So,
that was sweet. Because Victor asks, "Hey, Victor, who's more like mom and who's more like dad?" for me, I think Hoyt sounds like my daddy. I think he's, you hear his preaching and then some of his mannerisms, just like my dad's style. So I think he sounds like my dad, but his heart is like my mom's. So I could say that for him. And Sharon's a good combination of both. She's got that business mind as well as that giving part. So I think she's equally like both of them. What do you say, Sharon? Who do you think is like more mom or dad?
I think that's a good assessment. I think the same thing with you. I mean, I think your preaching style is more like mom's, where Hoyt's is more like dad's. But you're a very giving person too, even though you're outspoken like dad. I mean, so much like daddy. You sound like daddy sometimes. You use some of the same sayings. So I guess we're just all a very good mix of the good parts of both of them.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay. We started this out talking about C-level siblings, and then we got into some funny stuff and some fun stuff. But being leaders, and we're all leaders differently, I'm going to just give a little bit of a teaser. I'm not going to say too much because we're still formulating it, but we're all now in business together. And I think it's going to work because we're not going to be in each other's way. We've got the big picture thinker, that's Hoyt, who knows the most people. I mean, he knows the most people. We've got Sharon, that's an analytical thinker and a project planner. So she wants to know what steps we need to do to get to where we need to be. And then I'm a talker by just default. And so I can draw the people in and not really be the face, but the person that can encourage you, whether you're going to do what we need you to do. So this is our first venture together that I'm like, man, I'm so excited about it. But this is like brand new, so I don't want to just say so much right now. But this is our first time being in business together. And I want to say this, I think because of who we are and the life that we've lived and the jobs that we had, we're not getting in each other's way. We actually are going to enhance each other because I can't do what Hoyt can do. And I can't do what Sharon can do. And I think individually allowing each other to do what you do well is going to be hugely successful, and we're going to give it all we got. So I'm super excited about that. So Sharon, we're going to give you some final thoughts here because I don't want my producer to start sending me messages here, but I want you to talk to them about maybe talk to somebody that may be struggling with whether I am cut out for being a leader. And what maybe I need to do, or if you just want to talk to them from the heart and just give some final thoughts, it's fine. I just want us to share with somebody that may be watching today and said, yeah, that's all good and fine, and maybe my family isn't like that, but what can you share with them?
Well, I think, one of the things you can do for yourself is just be reflective and be forgiving of yourself. Start from today, moving forward. Don't focus on your past. Decide what it is you want to do. Be very clear about what your goals are and then start working for them today. Don't wait. Don't say, well, next year I'll finish my degree or next year I'll start looking for another job. What's wrong with today working towards your goals? So don't be afraid to just jump in there and start doing for yourself. You're your number one supporter. You're your number one advocate. Go for whatever it is you think you really want in life. And I promise you will get there once you start believing in yourself.
Okay. Hoyt, what do you got to say to people?
Well, I think you got to look at the scripture to say Philippians 4:13, that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. There's nothing that you can't do. There's nothing that God can't do through you. And I remember when I became my first president CEO position, I was saying to myself, man, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have all the tools and the leadership. And God reminded me when I was 5 and 6 years old, how God was leading me and God was using me. And when I was 12, as a minister of music and starting my choir at 20 years old and maintaining a choir for 7 and 8 years with older people, and I'm this younger guy. And so I developed leadership early on. So go back and look and see how God has brought you, and look at your journey and begin to see, and you'll begin to answer some of the questions that you may have that, listen, I do have leadership. I remember this and I remember that. But listen, you need to go in the mindset that there's nothing that you can't do. Whatever you need, now you have to work hard. You have to apply yourself. You have to continue to press forward. But there's nothing that God can't do. There's nothing too hard for him. But you got to begin to trust him and be out of your mouth, say that I can do it. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And the greater one that's in me, that's in the world, that he can do all things through Christ.
Well, my takeaway, or I want people to know, is everything you need, you already have within you. It may just need to be developed a little bit. Stop trying to be somebody that you're not. It's okay to look up to someone, but it's not okay to imitate them. You are the best version that you can be. Be that. A lot of times we get into this thing, and I'm actually got a sermon, and I've done it at Hoyt's church. It's put on the whole armor of God, but make sure it fits. Sometimes we're in positions that people have given us instead of positions that God wants us to be in. So really look inside you and see what it is that you're good at, because that's already in you. It didn't just develop overnight. It was in you from a long time ago. You were doing whatever it is, your God-given gift and talent, a long time ago. And take that and then apply that. So that's what I would probably tell people. Just, it's already there. You just have to develop it. So we're getting ready to get out of here in just a few minutes, guys. But I wanted you to tell Sharoñ what you got going on. What's new? I know she won't say this, but Sharoñ, let me tell y'all something. She spoke at a commencement ceremony the other day, and I was like, okay. Amazing. People were coming up to her because she's usually the one supporting me and Hoyt. She's our biggest cheerleader. But I mean, that speech writing may be a little bit in her future. I don't know. But
you never know.
But Sharoñ, what do you got going on?
Well, other than work, right now, my husband and I, we're actually building a new residence. So that's taking up a whole lot of our time. But I'm also a hustler, too. So like I said, I'm kind of working on business with my brother and sister, as well as I've got some other business ventures going on. And I'll let everybody know about those when it's time. But got a few things going on aside from work. Still doing a little bit of HR consulting on the side for myself. Even though it's not anywhere near retirement age, I want to set things up to where, my income continues as I retire. So got some things going on, but I can't tell you about all of them yet.
Moving silence. That's sometimes you have to be reminded of that. So Hoyt, what have you got going on right now?
Listen, let me just encourage someone that during this time or whatever time that you find yourself in, learn to adapt, learn to ask God to give you wisdom and knowledge to maybe transition and adjust to some other things, especially during this COVID-19, having to adapt online more so than anything. But ask God to help you and show you what you need to do. And one of the things that I have is a morning inspirational broadcast, which is called 5 Minute Church, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7:30 a.m. And on this Friday, tomorrow, I will have what I call is Fellowship Friday. I will have my guest, my first cousin, Reverend Stanley Ruderseal from Texas. He's going to be joining me tomorrow. And so again, that's just a small morning broadcast, but I believe it's been a blessing to many who have woke up in the morning and get ready for work and, put on your phone and kind of clicked into Facebook and being able to be inspired to carry your day. So a little bit of this and a little bit of that, family as well is important. And so, but the best is yet to come.
All right. Well, guys, Y'all have to follow DeShannon Speaks. I do a lot of things as well. My speaking engagements were picking back up, but now that the cases are going back up, I'm not sure about my speaking engagements. I actually was supposed to be somewhere this Sunday. Not sure about that. I've got some stuff coming up, so just make sure you either go to my website or just follow me on DeShannon Speaks, because I don't know exactly where God is going to take us all, but we know that with him we cannot fail. And with he that began a good work will definitely see it. And so, oh gosh, thank you, Shauna. Hoyt, my friend Shauna is saying 5 Minute Church has been a blessing to her. And so she's watching from
God
Atlanta.
bless
So,
you. God bless you.
so we just want to encourage somebody. If you ever get a chance to know us, sometimes people don't get to know us. They think they know us because they see where we are today. They don't know our story. They don't know our journey. They don't know our heart. But I'm telling you, my sister and brother, there's nothing that they won't do for you if they can. And same thing if people really actually got to know me. But we just want to encourage you. We won't be terrible. Now, we'll laugh and we'll joke together. But if you see us, we are going to be encouraging you to be the best version of yourself. We will pray for you. We will stop. We will do whatever we can to get you over whatever hump it is. That is our true ministry. It's inspiration. It's encouraging. It's uplifting. It is never to tear down, never to defeat, never to make anyone feel bad. That is what our parents instilled in us. We are encouragers by nature, all of us. And we want to encourage you that with God, you can be anything that you can dream to be. Sometimes we need to think bigger. We're limited in our thinking and we think God is limited. God is not limited by your thinking. God wants you to think big enough so he can bless you just that much. So thank you guys for watching. Thank my sister Sharon, my brother Hoyt. Follow them on social media. Follow me so you know what we're doing next. And, God bless each and every one of you. But we're going to end with prayer, just because there may be somebody that just needs an encouraging word. And we're going to ask, I'm a minister, y'all know that, but I say I'm a minister last. I'm a lot of other things first, but my brother is a pastor that has a heart for people. And so we're just going to ask him to close us out in a quick word of prayer. Other than that, you guys catch me next week, same time, same place. God bless you. Go ahead, Hoyt.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we just want to say how much we love you, how much we honor you, and how much we magnify you, God. We just know that you're just an awesome God, a loving God. And God, we just thank you for just loving us when we haven't loved ourselves. God, we thank you for the grace and mercy that we don't deserve. But God, we thank you that you loved us so much that you sent your son, Jesus, to die on the cross for our sins. And God, we just want to say, God, through it all, God, we just trust you with our faith. And I trust to continue to do the work that you have called us to do. God, we pray right now for everybody that's on this call, God, is on this broadcast. God, we ask that you bless them in a mighty, mighty way. God, whatever they desire, God, whatever that's in their heart, whatever the goals that you have for them, whatever ministry that you have for them, God, that you will continue to move in their hearts and move in their minds and their spirit, God, that they will accomplish what you have ordained for them to do. God, we want to just give you all the glory, that we want to give you all the honor in your son, Jesus' name, that we do pray. Amen.
Amen. So my siblings, hang on a second. We're going to go off air, but I want to just talk with you guys. So hang in the studio for a minute. Until next time, guys, God bless you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.